What is the ecology of the forest? Forest ecology is the scientific study of the interrelated patterns, processes, flora, fauna, and ecosystems in forests. Species, the main category of taxonomic classification into which genera are subdivided, comprising a group of similar interbreeding individuals sharing a common morphology, physiology, and reproductive process. Levels of diversity. At the most fundamental level of diversity, there is genetic diversity. How many genes and pieces of genetic information are present in a forest? The chlorophyll gene, for example, is common throughout most of the plant kingdom, although there are several variants. Species diversity is the next level of diversity. These are the combinations of genes that we are most accustomed to dealing with in the life sciences and from legal perspectives. Example is the Endangered Species Law. And lastly, there is something called ecosystem diversity. A collection of communities and the association physical factors make up an ecosystem. Ecosystem diversity is commonly described in terms of biomes, ecoregions, and similar large-scale terms. However, ecosystems can also be quite small.
What are the benefits of the forest? Forests stabilize the climate in general. The plants enrich the soil by recycling the nutrients through the shedding of leaves and seeds. They also regulate the water cycle by absorbing and redistributing rainwater equally to every species living within its range, which is known as the economy of water. Overall, forests provide the perfect habitats for life to flourish on land. They actually contain most of the living species, particularly in the case of tropical forests, where up to 90% of the planet's species live. Tropical forests possess the highest level of biodiversity and therefore provide the biggest genes reservoir. Plants also play a crucial role in the purification of our air. When breathing, they absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. They were the reason why life outside of water became possible in the first place. We find in them a powerful tool to fight air pollution and consequently global warming. Finally, forests provide us with a huge amount of different medicine materials. Important amount of drugs we use are extracted from tropical plants and animals, and the majority of the drugs used to fight cancer are coming from there as well. Forests contain a potential source of an amazing amount of cures, but most of it hasn't been discovered yet. Human health is directly linked with the conservation of forests and all their aspects. Forests today. Deforestation has been going on for centuries and is intimately correlated with population growth. Besides colonization, we cut trees for practically the same reasons as hundreds of years ago: to increase land for agriculture and pasture, as well as to produce lumber for heating, construction, and other materials. For agriculture and pasture, burning the area is often used to flatten the ground, which emits an important amount of carbon dioxide each time. We also create big industrial projects, such as artificial water basins, to produce hydroelectricity. Industrial development has often been responsible for deforestation and has threatened in some cases the ways of life of certain populations. By eliminating forests, we kill most of the biodiversity in the area. In some places in tropical forests, that means it would take another 100 million years to recreate the same biodiversity. Some of the species are unique in the world, and they quickly disappear following the destruction of their habitat. Deforestation provokes irreversible damage, and reforestation is not entirely making it up for it. Other consequences, such as soil impoverishment, are related to the clear-cutting of forests. Once a forest is not there to absorb the water from the rain, this creates floods and provokes soil erosion. Most of the nutrients and the elements needed to maintain life are then washed away. In the tropics, deforestation can lead to desertification, where the area becomes a desert and loses most of its life. Taking this problem to an economic level, agriculture, pasture, and logging are common activities today, especially in the third world. Expanding these activities often leads to deforestation. In the longer term, their overexploitation leads to the destruction of forests and the impoverishment of the people. They lost a very important resource and hardly gained anything in terms of development. Most countries don't have proper regulation, and the exploitation of forests has been quite anarchic. If we continue at this rhythm, we will lose all tropical forests before 2100. But there is a way to ethically exploit our forests. What people can do to save the forest. If you are buying products made from virgin forest fiber, make sure that it bears a seal from a credible forestry certification system, like the Forest Stewardship Council or FSC. Read more about the FSC and false forms of forest certification. As a consumer, ask questions about how the products you buy impact the forest. Educate your friends, family, and community about how our actions here can impact forests thousands of miles away. But the simplest way to save the forest is to plant trees. If each person in the world plants even just one seedling, there will be a 6 billion new hopeful trees.
Depuis longtemps, mais j'ai toujours laissé derrière mes sentiments.